What kind of nurse are you?
I am an ICU nurse, and mainly I'm neuro ICU. That's, I actually, didn't know what kind of nurse I wanted to be. Savannah stopped. She's gonna make me laugh, but she's gonna look at me the whole time. I actually didn't know what kind of nurse I wanted to be until I was going through clinicals. I always wanted, I thought I wanted to work with kids, and then when we did the clinicals, and I saw people starting IVs on babies, and they were crying, and I was like, yep, I can't do this. So, we were doing our ICU clinicals, and I thought it was gonna be really boring, and then I was, like, once I got in it, it was actually something I enjoyed. And, when Savannah's little brother was about, I think he was about 6, we found out that he had a cyst on his brain because he started having seizures and we didn't know why. And that's what got me to, want to do neuro ICU because I wanted to know more about the brain and everything. So.
Now you're talking about like how you got started.
Oh, okay, I actually went to school a long time ago. I got a basketball scholarship, big surprise. And I went to school and I dropped out because I don't really know why. I guess I didn't enjoy it the first time. And then I went back for teaching. I wanted to be a teacher. And somewhere along the way I was like, yeah, I can't do this either because I realized that you can't spank other people's children. So, but I enjoy helping people, so I switched over to nursing. That's how I got into the whole field of nursing.
Where did you go? Were your classes hard?
I went to Kilgore. My classes, actually, I thought they were going to be a lot harder. The prereqs to get in the actual nursing program, y'all probably already taken most of those. We didn't have, when I went to Longview High School, we didn't have early college like y'all do. So y'all probably taken most of the classes that you already need. You have to have like a basic math, a basic English, history, I think of art. So y'all probably actually gotten most of your classes that you need out of the way. Once you get in the actual nursing program, it's only 3 semesters. So it's actually not as hard as most of you think it is. It's actually really scary at first because you're like, oh, I can't start an IV or I can't do this. But once you do it, like once that fear is out of the way, then like it's not, I don't know how to explain it, but you feel like very empowered once you get over that first thing, and then you can do it. I promise anyone can do it. If I can do it, anyone can do it, because I was so scared of blood. I was so like scared of like all of like, oh, I can't, be around loogies, or I can't be around any of that stuff. But once you get over that, I promise you can do it. And then I did neuro ICU for a couple of years, and then I started traveling. And so I'm actually a travel nurse now.
So what has been your favorite position, or like, are you liking the traveling a lot? Like, what have you done that you've enjoyed the most?
I like to travel. I just got back from Phoenix, and I liked that a lot. I think what I've done that, like, my favorite is probably neuro, just because it's the most rewarding. Whenever you get a patient that comes in with a traumatic brain injury, especially like a younger kid or someone y'all of age. Shut up, Savannah. Like, we've had teenagers that have like done dumb stuff, like rode 4-wheelers without helmets, or thought that they were gonna like jump out of the back of the truck while it was moving or something like that. And they were on life support, and their parents thought, oh, they're never gonna come back. The doctor said they would never come back, and they actually did. And then just to see them, move their fingers, take their first steps, say their first words, and like do all that over again. So that's probably been the most rewarding.
Is there anyone in here that is considering anything medical at this time? Okay, good. So, what would you suggest like their starting point be? Say like they have no plans, but they think they're interested in medical? Like, go to Kilgore and do what?
I mean, you don't necessarily have to go to Kilgore, but I would definitely say talk to a counselor. Just find out what it's gonna take to be, you know, into, like, do you know if you wanna be a nurse or in, like, whatever. You need to know what your prereqs are, cause you would be surprised, most of your prereqs for any kind of medical field are the same, whether it's a nurse, or you are an x-ray tech, or you do phlebotomy or anything, they're pretty much all the same. Even if you wanna be a doctor, it's pretty much all the same the first year or two. So you just wanna go talk to somebody and find out and just kind of think. And you can also shadow. Savannah was actually gonna do this. You can go to a hospital and talk to someone there and find out. You can shadow a doctor, you can shadow a nurse, shadow an x-ray tech, shadow somebody and see if you like that. And you can go to different floors and just find out and see.
Because there's a lot of different
There's a lot of
areas.
different-
Even, I mean, like, I know Kilgore has like x-ray tech,
You know,
nursing, do you
Mhm.
know?
they have phlebotomy, they have EMT, they have x-ray tech, they have nursing. You can do like pre-med there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think. I know there's more. I just don't know.
Yeah, and I have a card to a counselor there. My son's gonna be going to Kilgore. I'm not like pushing Kilgore, I'm just saying
It's
it
a
is.
really good school.
It's just right there,
close.
yeah. You know, I'm saying for those of you who haven't made a decision yet, that would be a good
Yeah.
first step. Honestly, that's what my son should have done last year
Yeah.
instead of going all 4 hours. But he was like y'all, thinking, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
And then he's like, I never got to go hunting the whole year. You know,
It's a good school. It's close. It's cheap. They do mini mesters where you can take like a whole class in like 1 or 2 weeks over Christmas break. You can do summer school. I mean, they take all of like long use credits, so people.
And then we went and talked to UT Tyler and to Laterno, because those would be other schools closed, and they accept all of their classes. That he's going into engineering, so he's taking all the prereqs there and then gonna go to one of those, and they said, yes, we accept all of Kilgore's classes. So like she said, cheap. The whole semester is gonna be what one monthly payment was to his college in Arkansas.
I think the whole I don't know for sure, but the whole nursing program at Kilgore was only 16 months, which is not a long time when you think about it. And I mean, that's of course you get your prereqs out of the way, but it wasn't that much. It was less than $10,000 for the whole nursing program, and that's not bad at all. And you can get financial aid. Anybody can.
They let you do payments.
Mhm.
So it's a good option.
Is it hard to get into the nursing program?
No, you apply for the fall, so you can apply twice a year, and I'll be more than happy to leave you my number or anything, and Savannah can tell you my information. But if you want to get in the fall program, you apply in March, and if you want to get in the spring program, you apply in October. So there's only twice a year you can apply, and they take about 100 people. They take quite a bit of people. There's an LVN program and there's an RN program.
Would you tell us the difference between those
The difference
two?
between the LVN and the RN is that RNs make a little bit more money versus an LVN, just because if you're an RN, you can give blood, you can give heart meds, and LVNs can't. I know a lot of LVNs that are really good nurses. They've been nurses for like 30 years, and they're probably better nurses than RNs just because they have more experience, but the program's shorter. It's probably half the time. It's probably like 8 months to a year versus the 16 months. But they can't give blood, so they can't take those patients that need blood, and they can't give cardiac meds, so they can't have a patient that's on a cardiac drip. They can't push like any kind of cardiac meds, so they can't have those patients either, or they have to, if they have those patients, they have to go get a nurse. And then it's kind of hard because you have to find someone that can help you. So some places won't hire LVNs, but a lot of places will, especially doctors' offices, schools and things like that. Some places will only hire LVNs just because they know that they can pay them less. That's really the difference between them.
How much do y'all get paid, like roughly?
Starting out as an RN, you're gonna make, I'd say average just from, I worked at about 10 different hospitals traveling. You're gonna make about, starting out, $25 an hour as an RN. When you travel, depending on your experience, you make it really depends on how many years experience you have, but most traveling nurses make $50 an hour plus. So the more years of experience you have, the more money you're gonna make.
So like, tell them what you did. You went to ETMC.
Like, so I worked at ETMC in Tyler for 2 years before I started traveling. If you want to be just a regular, what they call med-surg nurse, which is just a floor nurse where you work like with just regular patients that aren't critical. So if you go to travel and you want to do that, most places ask that you have 6 months to a year experience. If you're a critical care nurse or an ICU nurse and you want to travel, they ask that you have 1 to 2 years experience. You're gonna make about the same amount of money if you're a floor nurse or a critical care nurse. So you can be like a floor nurse and still make $50 an hour. Travel nurses make more money. I highly suggest anyone who wants to be a nurse to get your experience and go travel.
Where have you been?
I've been to South Padre Island. That was really fun. Yeah.
So when you say travel nurse, do you go there and stay like a period of time, then you
Yeah.
come home? How does it work?
Okay, so travel nursing, you're basically like an athlete. Like you have an agent or several agents. I have about 10 to 15 people that call me on a daily basis. They're agents, and they say, "Hey, we have this job. Do you want it?" They get paid money, and they get like a cut of what you make. So the hospital calls them and they say, "We have a job that's paying X amount of dollars an hour." Let's say the hospital's paying $70 an hour. They offer you 50 and they make 20. So it's like a professional athlete. Like they get a cut of what you make, and they offer you the job and you can take it. You can call the agent and you say, "I want to work here." And that's why it's smart to have several different agents, and you can pretty much go wherever you want to. Like if you call and you say, "I want to go to California, I want to go to New York, I want to go to wherever," and if they want you bad enough, and I mean, obviously they want to make money, they're going to find you a job, and so you can pretty much go wherever you want to. Every contract is 3 months.
Okay.
So you go somewhere for 3 months. They give you money for your housing, they give you money for food.
So do you usually like share housing with other nurses that are doing the same thing?
You can, or you can just like find a hotel or like I usually find like an apartment or something.
Mm-hmm. I have a friend that just finished up in California, and how she did it was she was there for 1 week out of the month and then home for 3 weeks of the month. And I was like, you have it great. I was like, when you're working, you don't have to be a wife and mother.
Yeah.
You're just out there working. You go to work and you go to bed. And then when you come home, you can be a wife and mother and you don't have to work. I was like, my hardest thing for me, y'all, is to balance
It's hard.
being a working wife and mother, because I just feel like I'm giving to one thing and the other thing is not getting the attention, you know, that it needs. Sawyer is on spring break, my youngest son this week. He's at home. I'm at work. You know, if I wasn't working, then I could be at home with him. So I have that mother's, you know, guilt, but yet it's our responsibility too. I've been a single mom at, you know, a time to provide for your children. But the travel nurse thing where you went and just worked and could come back, I was like, that's the dream.
It's really hard, and it's overwhelming at first, having like a lot of different agents and trying to find the job you want, because you have to you're constantly like filling out applications, and you have to do all this. It's not like this one easy, you know, party, and you constantly have to do online work and submit things to them, and they're trying to find you the job that you want. And then when you're gone, like you said, you're away from your family, and there are pros and cons. Like the pros are, you can pick where you want, you do make good money, you can make your own schedule, you only work 3 days a week. Those are all great things, but you are away from your family and you are gone far places, and et cetera. So it's best to do it when you're young, when you don't have a family.
That would be perfect if you all went to nursing school now before you got married, before you had children. Go travel and see all, different places.
So what's the difference between the day shifts and the night shifts, and like how long are the shifts?
Shifts are 12 hours, but they actually end up being like 13 hours. Day shift is 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Night shift is 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. But you have to get there early because you have to get reports. So you get there at 6:30, and you never leave at 7 because you can't just clock out at 7. You have patients that need things, and you're given a report, and somebody's going to push the call light, and something happens, and they're not. A code is like when someone goes in cardiac arrest. So codes always happen at 7 o'clock. I promise you, this always happens. So there's been days I didn't leave work till 9 or 10, and you'll have a 15-hour shift, and you come back the next night and you're exhausted, and you have to work 3 shifts in a row. And I promise you, 40 hours of nursing is equal to like 100 hours of any other job. It is very, very hard. You do not go into nursing because you want to make money. You go into nursing because you love to take care of people, because it is very hard and exhausting. But if you like to take care of people and you can stand on your feet for 13 hours and walk 5 miles, then it's the job for you.
Do you prefer to take those days in a row or just spread them out throughout the week?
Most people take them in a row, but you can spread them out. I would recommend that you take them in a row, just get them over with, have your 3 days, and then have 4 days off. Some people even do like 6 days, and then they'll have like 8 days off. So that's the joy of nursing, is that I can say you can make your own schedule. I don't know any hospital that does not let you make your own schedule. Like, everyone gets to make their own schedule. As long as you work so many weekends a month.
So if you were to, I know my parents, the big thing was like, you have 4 years of college and you have to get a degree in something you can get a job in. I have a nephew who has a degree in biology, and he's working at Verizon just because it's like no real certification.
Yeah.
So if they did get their LVN or their RN, they should have no trouble getting a job.
You will always have a job in nursing. I promise you. I get phone calls every day. It is annoying. I have people call me every day and say, do you want a travel contract? I could show you on my phone. It is every day. Once you put your name out there, you will have recruiters call you, and it's a blessing, but it's also a curse, because like someone's always blowing up your phone, but you will always have a job, because unfortunately people are always sick, and that's something. It's just like being a cop or being a nurse, you're always gonna have a job.
So we talked about the beginning of the year when I came on here about how you could learn just as much on what not to do and what to do. So you mentioned you went to school at first, maybe just weren't in it. Tell us what, pitfalls that maybe you fell into that you want to
I just
warn
wasn't
them of.
focused when I first went to school. I just wasn't focused, and I think my dad wanted me to go to school more than I wanted me to go to school, and I just didn't really want it for myself. And so when I went back, I wanted it more for myself, and I was very focused. And I ended up graduating at the top of my class, and I graduated with honors, and I actually had more honors than anyone in my class. And I was in like the English Honor Society, the National Honor Society, and everything, because I wanted it, and I was paying for it the second time. When you pay for college, you really, like, if you drop out of a class and you have to repay for it a second time, you really care.
Yeah.
You really care that time. So I think that's what made a difference. And I had children, and I was a single parent, and I knew like I had to get it together, and I needed a job that was gonna, be able to provide for my family. So I think that's what really made a difference the second time around. So I think if you do go to school, just know that you do need a job, whether it be nursing or anything else, that you have to be focused, because your parents aren't always going to be there to hold your hand, and it's not high school, it's not free education. You are paying for this. Somebody's paying for it. Either you're getting a Pell Grant, the government's paying for it, or you're getting a student loan and you're going to pay it back. You have to care, and you have to pay for this somehow. So I would recommend that you pay attention and just get a degree in something.
That's what I tell them. It doesn't necessarily have to be a 4-year degree.
Yeah,
But
there's a lot of good 2-year
yes.
degrees. You can get a nursing degree in 2 years. You can get a welding degree. You can be a firefighter. You can be a police officer. You can, I don't know, do something.
Get some kind of training, and
Yeah.
before you're married, before you have your family and
Yeah.
all that, because
It's harder when you try to
yes.
go back like I did.
it is.
Poor Savannah, I remember, y'all, when I was in nursing school and Savannah was, I don't know how old she was,
So,
but I would study and I had to study, we had to do, like microbiology and anatomy and physiology, and I would write all the body parts on her with a highlighter, 'cause I had to remember like all the muscles and the bones and the joints and everything, so.
Ms. Miller, you have 15 more minutes. I
Okay.
do have a speaker
No, you're
at
good.
2:15. I'm gonna walk down and get her, and I'm gonna leave
You're
you
fine.
in charge here.
But
I'll be good.
Savannah has really had to do a lot, with me traveling. She's had to like take care of her brother and take him to school, and
that's why I don't have kids.
that's why you don't go, back to school later. But she's helped me a
Do
lot.
people care that you have tattoos?
No, nobody cares. that you have
Really?
tattoos.
Really?
Turn up.
No one gives like
Not
a
even-
flying at
No.
all. Like,
So I can get a face tattoo and still be a
When
nurse.
I worked at Phoenix, we had this one nurse, y'all, she was nobody cares about the 21 Savage tattoo or nothing like that, nobody cares. We had this one nurse, she had like gang face tattoos and everything, like, they don't care.
Because I mean, you're there to
Let me
save
tell you
lives.
something, if you're in cardiac arrest and like you're dying, and I come there and do CPR on you, are you gonna be like, wait, stop, no, you have a tattoo? Yeah, are you gonna tell me to stop and don't save your life? I mean, really?
Have you ever had like a legal problem? Like I know some people have like the Sonara resuscitation.
So-
Person-
We have had people who did not wanna be resuscitated, that's actually a good question, and the family wanted us to, and they've actually, we just had to let them die, and the family was like, why aren't you doing anything, and we couldn't, because that was their wish. Because legally, if we, resuscitated them and they came back, they could sue us, because they didn't want us to,
wow.
so that's been an issue for them.
I know I'm taking EMS here, and they told me that if somebody has a bracelet, they actually have to give you the papers to.
Yeah,
sign.
you have to have the paperwork. The bracelet doesn't matter if you don't have the paperwork. And once they leave the hospital, like to go to a nursing home or something, then they have to have their own separate set of paperwork.
And also like if a husband is dying and the parents are like, stay home and the wife is
Yeah.
like, no.
We've had that problem
Well,
too.
What?
Like, so like, let's
Why would
say,
your wife be like, no?
let's say like a husband is on life support or something.
Oh, okay.
And, the wife wants to withdraw care and the parents don't, then, like if the wife wants to withdraw care, it's the wife's decision and you have to go on her wishes because that's the state of Texas.
I thought it should be like,
It's only like they're married, right?
If they're married.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll take that too.
Man.
So
Oh,
like,
I can tell y'all some crazy
so like,
Tell us
stories.
one.
let's be real.
Man, one time we had this family like barricade nurses in the room because the parents wanted the nurses to save their son's life, but the wife didn't want the son to be saved. So like they wouldn't let anyone leave and they basically like held the nurses hostage and we had to call the cops and everything, yeah.
Some of this.
And working on a neuro floor, like you get a lot of people with like traumatic brain injuries and people that have had strokes and stuff, and they don't understand what's going on. And so I've had people call me everything. I've been kicked, hit, punched, spit on, like everything, because they don't know, what's going on.
So when you had that call, like, were you not like, dang, that's a bad life? Let me save
tell
his
you,
life.
You think a lot of things sometimes, but you just think that you have to put yourself in people's positions because you see a lot of things. Like you cannot judge somebody until you've been in that position because there's a lot of things that you see. Like when I first started nursing, I was like, dang, that's messed up, or like I probably wouldn't do that. But then after years, you really do change your mind. Because there's a lot of times where people, like, once you see how someone's quality of life will be after, you really wouldn't want that for your family.
So like when you do CPR and you try to save it.
When you do CPR on a 90-year-old person and you break every one of their ribs, which is gonna happen with the very first compression, you're gonna break all of their ribs. And you know that they're not gonna have any quality of life because their brain went so long without oxygen, and they're gonna lay in bed, and they're gonna have a feeding tube, and they're not gonna have any reflexes, and they're not gonna respond, and they're not gonna do anything. Is that what you would want?
Nah, you know what I'm saying? I just push and then like act like I gave him air.
I'm saying,
Sit
like,
there.
is that what you would want for your grandparent?
Nah,
Exactly.
I don't know. I ain't got
Hold on,
grandparents. Mine
But
did.
but is that what you would want for yourself? Would you want that?
Ah, let me go.
Exactly.
Right.
So you get to the point where you see that and you're like, you know, sometimes you just need to let people go. And it's really not us, it's not up to us to play God, and you have to respect people's wishes. Even if you disagree with it, you have to respect their wishes.
Alright, so like in that certain like how did you feel after that certain case where you like their parents, like the people that
Actually,
brought
in
them
that
into the
certain
world,
case,
like
they came to an agreement, the wife and the parents did, and they decided to let the guy stay, and he came back.
see, she just
Actually, in
wanted
the
some
certain
money.
case.
But you know, you never know.
But you never know. You
True.
never
If
know.
ever, you know, something
Man,
happens, don't
I'm telling my
do
wife.
this to me.
But that is
Goes
why,
down to
and
you.
I tell people all the
You go.
time, there's this thing called a living will and a power of attorney, and y'all need to have all of these things, and you need to make your wishes known. What, you know, you need to tell somebody what you want to happen in case I've already told Savannah, and you need to have it, you know, broke down.
Well, I'm telling y'all now, if I die
It's
today,
being recorded too.
oh, I
Okay,
so
good.
y'all can show my mama this. If I die today, put me in basketball shorts,
Oh my
some
gosh.
slides, and a t-shirt. Cause like, I'm not trying to be hot in the casket.
Oh my goodness. Do y'all have any other questions about nursing?
Make sure y'all know that.
I feel like I didn't like answer anything about nursing.
I don't know. Is it
I
hard
feel
when
like
you
I will
try
not.
to save someone and then they don't come
It
back?
is hard when you try to save someone and they don't come back, and I can tell you right now, I went to this conference with Savannah, this medical conference in Boston, and I knew that saving people, I knew that the success rate was really low, but we found out from this doctor, it was like, what, 8%? It is really low, yeah. And so it's kind of like traumatic when you do all that work, and so, yeah, it's hard, it's very hard.
Have you ever had an issue or dealt with like the Good Samaritan law? Where,
Yes,
Like you, like,
yeah.
you know, you don't, like, have you ever like not known what to do, like if there's a Good Samaritan?
I've never not known what to do,
What's
but I've been having like just a lovely day at the mall, and then Savannah volunteers me to help people, and she's always like, my mom's a nurse, and she does this all the time.
I did that to people on the side of the road when Reed, my husband's a mechanic, and we're driving. I'm like,
So don't
Yeah.
even.
they're working
Oh,
on
a
it.
good
Like,
Samaritan.
I know.
Oh, like a person.
I've literally had to help people at swim meets, I've had to like give a look at a Heimlich at the mall, I've had to help people have seizures. I'll be trying to walk in the other direction, and she's like, my mom's a nurse, and I'm like, Savannah, stop. But yes, you have to, by law, help people all the time, even when you're just trying to mind your own business.
It's not like they just died in the log,
No.
like they just hurt their knees.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's not anything bad.
Yeah, like we were trying to trick or treat one night, and this lady had a seizure, and I was like, let me help you.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Dang.
I mean, it's fine, because I do like to help people, and I really wanted to make sure she was okay,
That's
but
3 cents.
I've never,
Right.
fortunately, I've never had an issue,
Yeah,
so.
I just like, I know that the Good Samaritan law, like, people do like the malpractice with that law.
It does prevent you, if you practice within your scope, but if you're like Sandra Bullock in the heat and you try to like, that doesn't prevent you. You have to like, you can only, you know, do something that you know how to do.
Yeah.
I can't perform surgery on someone, so. that's
So,
how it works.
if I learned all of this, but like didn't go to school for it, but like I learned all of it like good how y'all learned it, but just like didn't go to school, cause yeah, I could like be out in public and see somebody dying and go save their life,
If you save them, I guess they get to sue you, right?
Well,
or should I just let them die?
I think you should try to save their life, okay? Because anyone can do CPR in the Heimlich. You don't have to go to school for that.
Yeah, I learned that. So
And actually, true story, the guy that invented the Heimlich got saved by the Heimlich.
Wow.
Okay.
that's dope.
Yeah.
It's like Martin Luther King having a dream about somebody having a dream.
I wanna listen to the next speaker.
But you're not gonna get paid for all this knowledge that you have unless you have the
That's
license.
right. So if you wanna make money and take care of people and make a difference in the world, you should be a nurse. There's a lot of male nurses actually.
Oh, yeah,
And there's a need for that, I mean,
There is a
heavy
need for male
lifting
nurses.
and.
Yes.
Exactly, heavy lifting. That was the first.
We
thing.
like having male nurses and we
That
call them
bad.
nurses and we like to get y'all to move all the big people and all that stuff. We like it when there's guy nurses.
I got
Do you
bad back.
suggest people, start with a CNA or no?
I actually do suggest people start out as a CNA or an extern. I externed when I was in college. An extern is like a
Get paid.
CNA where you do like CNA work while you're in college.
What is CNA?
It's like you do like basic work, like you turn people, you lift them, you give them baths, you do things like that.
It's like a certified nurses
They're like a
aide.
nurse's aide.
Oh,
I feel like if you start at the bottom, then you will appreciate the help
Everything.
once you're a nurse, and I did that, and I think it does help a lot, because then you treat everyone with respect once you become a nurse. And so,
And then but instead of just jumping in to a lengthy program, like if you really said, okay, like this is not for
for me, yeah,
then you would kind of know after, because the CNA program is very short.
it is, it's like 6 weeks,
Yeah.
yeah.
You can get a job in a hospital as a
And
certified
CNAs
nurse
make good
assistant.
money, actually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they
What they make?
always need them.
what do they make?
I don't know for sure, but they make
I
like,
don't know, but I will find out for you.
Is it over 15?
yeah, like a lot of them do. I know at ETMC they make pretty good money.
I don't know, but I know in the paper they're always wanting them.
in the summer to be an EMT, certified EMT, but I'm not sure because I know a guy that works about Pacitas that's an EMT and a firefighter. He said that I'm only gonna get paid like $8 an hour.
I would not stop being an EMT because I wanted to be a flight nurse and be a flight nurse.
Bless you, Mom.
And nurse.
So you said keep
I would
going.
suggest finishing it just to have it like in your pocket, and then you never know, you might need to use that one day.
My friend that I was talking about earlier has done the flight nurse thing also. That's like the top of the
Yeah, that's
nursing.
like the top of the food chain for nurses.
Yes,
So fly.
and she did it for a while, but you have to like, when you're on call or you're working where you go like a fire station or something and you're sleeping in like bunk beds or whatever, and then when you get the call that a life flight is needed, like you have to hop up and go, like get this person that's been in a terrible wreck or whatever. And she said she just got burnout on the middle of the night.
Yeah. but
She goes, you can go back and you go to sleep for an hour, get another call, or she said some nights you'll sleep all night, nobody will call.
Yeah,
But she said, I just don't do well being woken up with a phone call in the middle of the night and hopping up.
but you work 2 days a week.
Is that not like unhealthy to like be woken up in the middle of the night to go save somebody?
Well,
like,
the thing is
you're half
that
asleep, so
You're, wherever you work at, like if you work in a hospital, they have like dorms, so you have like a room, so you sleep there and like you're,
Hospitals have dorms?
But I'm saying, like, to work, like,
Or those people.
halfway
but
sleep.
you're getting paid to sleep.
Your adrenaline's gonna kick
Yeah.
in.
No.
I mean, you have to remember too, work is not recess.
And
Wherever you
also-
work, it's gonna be
yeah.
difficult.
You also remember that doctors and everybody, some doctors work like 48 on, so, I mean, doctors are working like, they're sleeping as well, and they're getting paid, they're getting woke up to perform surgery and stuff like that. You have to think about that.
that's true. I mean, I don't go to sleep, so that's cool.
That's why they have beds and stuff for people to sleep in.
Alright, do y'all have any other questions? We are
Have you
about
ever
to our
failed?
end.
Have you ever failed like on the way to a call?
Have I ever failed on the way to a call? No, but I have failed before.
What
But I've
happened?
never failed. Like, I just fell like in the hospital because I'm
Oh,
clumsy.
so you never failed,
But
like,
I'm not a very good runner and I'm not fast, but like, my adrenaline kicks in when I know like I have to go save someone,
Oh, black.
and I've never like failed in, but I have failed just walking normally.
no, but have you failed
Like failed a class or failed,
like a patient, like.
oh, felt like you failed someone.
Something wrong or something.
That's
No,
the person that
But I've been fired by patients before because they didn't
Fired?
like, yeah.
Like home health or
No, like I had patients that were like,
we don't
just
want
crazy,
her.
and they're like, you're fired, don't come back to my room anymore, and I'm like, alright.
Because I mean, your personality gets
Yeah.
along with some people, and some people they don't. I have a couple of. I know y'all are gonna find this very hard to believe. I have a couple of students that do not like me here at Longview High School. I don't know what's wrong with them, but
What?